I guess we'll get rolling. We've still got people coming in, but let's get the fun going. So I am Marilyn Wilson. I am the president of retechnology.com. Hopefully I've seen some of you guys on coffee chats or on webinars before. We bring in lots of great speakers for you. And Michael Vervina, who is with us today, is no exception to that. So he's going to give us some really practical tips today about how to give your online listing that virtual advantage. And let me introduce Michael. He is the VP of Sales and Marketing for iGuide. I'm sure some of you may be using this tool. I've spoken with many people that are customers of iGuide, especially top producing agents who, frankly, just love this stuff. That's the only way I can say it, is they really think it helps give them not only a professional advantage because it allows you to measure a home appropriately and correctly, but it also just does a really bang up job for marketing the properties online. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Michael, and he's going to take us through a bunch of stuff. I would love all of you to ask us questions throughout the webinar. Just type something in the chat or the Q&A. We'll be watching those closely. And if it's something that Michael can answer at that minute, I'll jump in and ask him to do that. Otherwise, hold to the end. So if you don't hear me, ask it right away. Don't worry, we'll get to it. We'll just do it when it makes sense within the presentation. So with that, Michael, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Well, hey, thank you very much for having me, Marilyn, and participating today. This is fantastic. I'm very excited to talk to your listeners about iGuide and about how to really get the most of your online listing. So, yeah, if you have questions, I might start to get rolling. Feel free to tag me or wave or whatnot, and let me know that you've got a question for me and stop me. So. Working at iGuide, I've had the privilege to speak with many, top agents, new agents, and present to many agents about, how to market their listings online and really how to get the most out of it. I've seen tons of creative ways that agents have been able to get people to visit their listings and engage with their listings and reach out to them personally. And that's what we do. We help agents to do a great job when they're, listing or marketing a home. One of the big things is, those agents who are effective at marketing a home, we help them to be more effective by giving them some key elements that they can add to that creativity and their ability to market a property. And for those new agents that are coming into it or just who aren't certain of what they're doing, we help them to be effective when they're marketing a property. So I'm going to show you how to, drive and engage more views to your listing. And this is really to generate better qualified leads and to demonstrate more value that you bring to your clients. It also is a great way to show how you can, basically show new clients how effective that you could be as an agent in marketing and listing and selling their home. So I pop into here, the presentation, and we'll get, through the agenda. But this is what I'll take you through today. I'll identify what's important on a listing and walk you through the 3 elements of getting the most of your online listing. And really, I'll give you some resources. I'll talk about some tactical steps that you can look at and identify and really help you through this process. A little bit about what iGuide is and who we are. We have a camera system that uses a LiDAR laser to quickly map out built spaces, homes, and to provide the key information that buyers are looking for when they're shopping for a home online. And so, we're providing immersive 3D tours, as-built floor plans, accurate room measurements and dimensions, and reliable floor area calculations. We also give you a way to deliver all the content that you get when you have a listing, so you can include things like your photos and your video and your drone elements if you've got your photography teams or marketing teams helping you out with those elements. A little bit about what, we've been around since 2014, and we're one of the largest 3D tour providers in Canada. We have service providers across the US and almost all 50 states, and we've mapped and built floor plans for over 400 million square feet, and well over this year, the way things are going. So let's dive into it a little bit and really what I want to share with you, and you probably already know this fact. It's an NAR stat in terms of, slightly pre-COVID, home sellers' primary purpose for using an agent was to help sell and market that home. These are NAR stats they're saying, and really they're looking to you as a professional to walk them through this process. But even if you look at the top elements, that they were looking to their agent for, is to help sell within a time frame, to help price the home. These are all elements that go into marketing of that property. And that's why they're still looking to you as the professional, help them out and help them through this process, especially since, the way that the markets are going now, and that there's so much variance in different markets, in terms of homes selling fast. Demand is crazy in particular markets. Certain price points are crazy. So they're looking even more to that professional to help them through this process. And that is quite evident in what we're seeing in terms of the amount of volume that's being pushed through in the markets. So where do we like to start? And why is it important to start where I'm suggesting is with the buyer, it's with the consumer? It's the focus on the buyer, because this is where it helps make this whole transaction, this whole process easier and better. And we've seen that, from an industry standpoint, people like, or search portals like Zillow, who, was the disruptor in the market, now the incumbent in the market. Well, how did they win? How did they gain, I guess, so much importance in the marketing and sales of homes? Well, one of the big things is they got the eyeballs. They got the eyes of the consumers, and they were providing information that consumers want. And when you look online at a lot of these different search portals, they provide great information about a neighborhood, about the area, about, walk scores in the schools in the neighborhood. They give you a great understanding of the neighborhood that you want to live in. And once you identify as a home buyer where you want to live, now you want to dive deeper into the information about these properties and these homes. And how do you get that information? And what is that information like? Well, today it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's probably better than it ever has been in terms of the quality and the amount of marketing and digital assets that are there on the properties. Very informative and giving more information. From what a lot of the search portals are seeing right now in the industry, is that they're getting longer and more engagement with the properties that they do have online, because there's more rich data there that's feeding and answering the questions of the consumer. And this has been, I think, a tremendous movement in the industry to help inform buyers and help them through this process. But they're still, looking to you to help them. And so what is important to the home buyer? And this is the things that I'd like to touch on. And we look at another stat from the NAR profile of home buyers and sellers. This is a survey and this is the 2020 survey, where they query thousands of home buyers and sellers, and they ask them, what's important to you when you're searching for a home? And in this particular graph you're seeing here, what's important to the buyer when searching for a home online? And, this hasn't changed from the year before, which, property photos are still that number one thing. Detailed information about the property. And I'll go in a little bit more detail of these, but that's not only the price of the home, but, what's the size of the home? What are the room sizes? Floor plans, because it provides that understanding. Real estate agent contact information, and virtual tours. And these are all things that help the buyers in terms of informing them on this home buying journey. Some of the things and the key facts. Why is this information important? Well, because this is where buyers go to look online, and this is where they spend the time on a listing, and where they're more likely to reach out. So these are all statistics that have come up. We know that home buyers are going online. We know that they're more likely to reach out to an agent when there is information on there. And this stat that I've got here from the Canadian Real Estate Association is 27% more likely to reach out to a realtor when they have this videos and 3D tours and more rich content. But they are also spending more time on a listing. And this is a little bit of an older stat, that 18% more time on a listing. That has actually increased in terms of the amount of time people are spending on their listings when they're searching for the home. So that's the why in terms of what's important for this whole process. But how do you give your online listing, that virtual advantage? How do you provide, a good quality listing? And these are the basic 3 steps that I identify, or that we identify, in terms of that online listing. You stage, share, and show. So you stage your virtual listing by preparing and providing that information that the buyers want to see. You share your listing online, so you get as many views and visitors to that property that are potential home buyers, or that are interested in that property. And you show results to your clients, so that your clients are your next referral, and that they see the value that you're bringing to the table. And these are some of the things that we'll run through today. So let's start off with staging your listing, giving them what they want. And so it starts off with professional photos or property photos of, nice photos grab people's attention. And I constantly see this, and even in my personal life, I see this with my wife. We're looking at homes. If the photos aren't great, she doesn't want to look at them. I'll give you an example. This is a photo that I found on the MLS of a property. This is what, I would call a lifestyle shot. You get to see the gentleman there in his rocker, watching TV. Not quite sure what movie it is, but this is, engaging. I don't know if this would be very compelling for my wife to go see this home. I think this would be more of a compelling photo, really, to draw them in and want her to see more about that property. But the second point that it was in that NAR stat is those property details. So price, number of rooms, bedrooms, but also the information about the room sizes. Are my kids' furniture going to fit in those rooms? Is the house appropriate size for me to move into? And understanding, I'm looking for a bigger home. I want to be able to have a certain square footage of the home. So that's an easy key point to look at. And so one of the other stats that came out of last year, Realtor.com did a study where I think this was back in April of last year, where that because we were in the midst of the pandemic, people wanted to see a virtual tour of the home. They don't always have that ability to go in the home. Right now, with the way the markets are going, I'm hearing constantly stories about people not being able to even get in to go have a showing, because the showings are all booked and they're limited in terms of how many people can go into the showing. So how you get people or potential buyers in to look at that home when you have homes going so quickly or selling quickly on a market, and not having the ability to even go in and see it. We're constantly hearing of stories of people buying homes sight unseen because they want to move into either that area, or they want a bigger home, or that's going to fit in their needs today. But the key other point I saw in this Realtor.com survey was really that drove home with me. It was accurate and detailed listing information. This is very important, and we constantly hear this. And I have a little personal story that I'll share with you. Please don't let my wife and kids know that I shared this story, because I've got a picture of them in this story. But this was my lockdown purchases. We were going in the fall, and we're coming into winter time frame in Toronto. And it's springtime in Toronto right now, and it just snowed last night, 3 or 4 inches. So that's my spring, as the grass was turning green. But I thought, what a great way to spend some time outside is we'll get a little fire pit. And you can see here, the inches and the measurements were provided for me. 19.5 inches wide, 14 inches high. This is a great little purchase. I bought it off Instagram. And this is what I got, this beautiful fire pit where I had the wood burning, and, we could stay warm. We could make s'mores. I had all these great visions of what we would do. And this is actually what was shipped to me. You can see my family hanging around that fire pit. I got mocked tremendously. My first purchase off of Instagram as well. Live and learn. Now I make sure I do a little bit more research. But this is something very similar in terms of when you're buying a home online. What's that square footage of that home? We have in some of the markets, in our local markets, they're putting down ranges of the home size. There was a case just at the end of last year that just got settled in the Ontario market, where the home the agent and the home seller had told the buyer, the first-time home buyer, that the home was between 21 and 2,400 square feet. I think actually they told them that it was 2,100 square feet, but the listing agent put it as between 2,000 and 2,500. So you're putting down a range on a home of one of your largest purchases. It's kind of like, me selling you a used car and telling you the range of the mileage on the car is between 60 and 80,000 miles. How would that make you feel that, oh, you can't give me kind of a closer mark? Well, what happened in this case was that because, and it was also tied into the fact that it was a first-time home buyer, well, the actual home size was something like 1,450 square feet. So a significant difference in terms of that home size, and very disappointing to the buyer. So the buyer did seek, went to court over it, and did end up winning his case, or his or her case in this matter. But besides the liability fact around this, it's also important to you as a brand and as a professional, tying back to your brand in terms of what information that you're putting forward. That's tied to you as a professional in terms of your brand. And I think brand is very important in your space as a real estate, as a realtor in this industry. And this is a great study here that I've just got up on screen, and we'll post the link in the chat, a new definition on professionalism. And it talks all about this, about the importance of measurements and square footage. In here, we also did a little bit of a study in some different markets in the US and in Canada, where we did a sampling of homes that we measured and mapped out with our technology. And what happens when we map out and measure, we're following a methodology of measurement in the data that we provide back to you. So we have standards of measurement that we follow, and we tell you what we include and don't include in those measurements. Things like open to below are not included. Garages are not included. Cold storage rooms are not included in the square footage calculations of the home. And we depict that in our floor plans by showing the shading on our floor plans of what is included and what is not included. And then when we compare those statistics to, and I'll show this case study here, the difference between public tax data and iGuide, we saw some large variances. So it's important to you as a professional to always verify if you're using a builder's plan, which is an as-built plan, not an as-built with a T, in terms of after the fact. If you're using tax data or previous listing data, you should always verify those measurements, because it is an important thing. And you can see that there's a lot of value that either you're doing a disservice to the home buyer or the seller. And in these cases that we saw, we looked at 100 homes in the Toronto market where there was the variances of up to and below of 20% in terms of below what that square footage or above that square footage. And in this market, in this study here, the home prices have changed. We've got it pegged at $800 a square foot, but in the Toronto market right now, it's much higher than that. Things have gone crazy, as I'm sure many of you know. And what does that mean? With a difference of 275 square feet, what's the potential impact to the seller when the house is, not listed as the actual square footage that it was? So in this case, tax record said it was 2,900 square feet, and the actual home size was 2,625. That was a financial potential impact of $220,000 to that seller. On the other extreme, where the home is reported to be larger than it was, and in this case, we looked at one that was the iGuide was 2,370, and the actual tax record said it was 2,138. That was really a potential impact to the buyer of 186,000. On average, we saw the impact of about 35,000 to the buyer overall. But this is why we've seen in some markets, like in North Carolina and in Alberta and Canada, these markets have stricter regulations around, the measuring of homes, what processes they do follow, if it's ANSI or RMS, the standards of measurement that they use in those markets. And it's important. So when you go buy a home and I'm looking for a larger home and there's a range there, when I look at that home, is that home going to be suitable for me and my family? Am I going to be able to get into a bigger home? And this is just a fun little home that's in the Toronto market. That's, I think, the smallest home in the city. And it actually sold recently for quite a bit, but just an interesting little, they kind of shoved it in between two houses there. It was probably a driveway. So it's important. You know, we go back to floor plans. Why are floor plans important? And this is a key thing. And actually, there's a Zillow study that deals with consumers on this, that it's actually the number 2 thing that they see as important, or what buyers are looking for when they're shopping for a home. Well, why? Because it tells you how that home fits and flows for you and your family, shows you where the storage is, shows you how big the rooms are. You can understand the layout of the home, and it really gives you a good understanding of that property, if it's going to work for you and your family. Hey, I need to have that office now, and I want it separated or on the other side of the home from where my kids' rooms are, because I'm working during the day. I'm on Zoom calls and I don't want them interrupting. Hence why I came into the office today, because my son is home from school right now and he does gym class above my head while I'm stuck in my basement. It also shows you, you know, how to, you know, depending on where you are in your lifestyle, you know, is it my teenager's room far from my bedroom, or is it, you know, my baby's room close to my bedroom? And however that layout goes, it really helps you that understanding. And I'll kind of run through that. But before I do, the other element that I'd touch on is the actual 3D tour. You know, now I can flow through that home, really understand and dive and get a great understanding of that property. What's nice about this 3D tour, the iGuide itself, is that it has the floor plans built into the visuals so that you can go directly to the spot that's most important to you. So when we see consumers shopping online, we know that they have key criteria that's in mind. So for example, if a home buyer is looking, you know, lives on a noisy street, they're going to be motivated to make sure that they move to a quiet cul-de-sac. They have key criteria in mind when they're looking for a home. Personally, in my life, you know, my wife is going to check out the kitchen. And what's nice about our floor plans here, and you can see where you are on the floor plan, and there's a tracking cone motion that from that floor plan where I can see exactly where I am situated and what direction I'm looking in, so I don't get lost. And I don't have to use all this cognitive effort to really understand that layout of that home. But I can click on directly that room I want to go to, and I end up right there. And my wife can say, hey, this kitchen is perfect for my husband to do all the cooking in. This is great. This is where, you know, what we need. And what's one of the other key criteria that we have, and I use these examples all the time because it is the pain points in my life, is she'll want to go to that main bedroom and say, can we fit a king size bed in this bedroom? What's nice about these tools that we have on here with all this rich information is that there's a little measurement tool at the bottom right-hand corner of this floor plan. You can click on that and you can go over to the floor plan and you can see I'm going to draw out a line on that floor plan. I'm actually measuring to see if a bed, a king size bed will fit. And easily I can fit a king size bed in there. So that's perfect. This meets the other criteria. But once I've kind of identified that criteria for my home, now as a buyer, I want to really now just maybe explore. I can minimize that floor plan, and now I can just walk through the property. I can kind of understand the elements of it. And here they've called out a nice mirror with a backlit on it, and they've called out some of the nice features to it. So I can actually walk through the property and understand better elements of this property as I want to explore. Other elements that are in the iGuide. So we talked about the photos. You can add video and details about the property, not only the prices, but all the room measurements, including floor plans. So you have all these elements in there, and now it's giving you a comprehensive, a complete listing solution for your clients, even a map of location of where that property is listed in a property, in the world. So, excuse me. With to be able to see exactly where your home is. So the next step is staging your listing. After staging it and you've got all those digital assets aligned and ready to go, it's about sharing. You want to get potential buyers into that property. You want to market that property and market your listing so that you get as many people in there. Well, simple things to do. You get your property up on the MLS, right? And it gets syndicated for you. But what are some of the other things that you can do? And you want to make sure that there's other elements that when you're marketing. One nice thing about the iGuide is when you take one of the URLs, so I'm just going to go back to here, on the iGuide report that's sent to you from one of our service providers, they're going to grab things like this unbranded link or this branded links. They're going to give you all the links that you need to market and sell that home. So you take that unbranded link and you put that into your MLS so that it populates out that way. You have branded links here so that you can share that on social media, and I'll show some tips and tricks on how to do that as well. And you get all the other information for your listing here, in terms of the high-res photos, PDFs of the floor plans, and embedding tools. So if you are trying to drive traffic from any listings or any of the posts that you do back to your website so that you can capture there, you can embed the iGuide just like it is embedded on this web page in your own listing page, so that now when you drive traffic back to your website, you keep them there. And these are more advanced techniques that I won't dive too much into, but I will give you some of the basics and stuff. And then all that information that if you need in some markets, you have to put in the measurements and the room measurements, and we provide all that information to you directly right there. So what happens is when you do put it on the MLS, well, one nice thing about the iGuide is when you put that the URL for the unbranded link into the multimedia link in the MLS or the 3D tour link in the MLS, it populates that main page of Zillow. So you can see here, this property's on Zillow, and right here, right underneath that main picture, you have Explore the 3D tour. What a great real estate in terms of marketing that property. Nice thing is now if you're doing video, 3D tour, photos, if you're doing the full gamut of things that you're really listing a property with, all that information is captured in this iframe so that when you click on that, now I have that video that I can share with my clients. I have the photos there. I have the 3D tour. So once they watch that video, you can have it so it automatically pops into the 3D tour, and now they can walk around and really explore that home a little bit more in depth. And so it's just a great way to show it. Same thing on realtor.ca. They have a virtual tour button right underneath here. When you click on that, that same property pops up, and really you can now go in and explore that property and dive in a little deeper as well. So just some great ways the key ways to get it out on marketing that property. One of the other neat ways, and especially recently with some markets you're in lockdowns or you want to get someone to see a property quite quickly, is you can do something which is called virtual sharing with the iGuide. So I'm just going to go back up here and pop on this property here. And what I can do is I could click on this share button and I can hit there to share this property with someone when I want to show them. One little really nice feature that I really like, and sorry for looking down here at this point in time, but I'm just setting this up, is that if I have a home that's come up on a listing and I want to be able to share it right away with someone, I have a potential buyer that wants to see it, I can just go to my phone, open up that listing. If my buyer has this, just as you see this create a virtual showing here, I can click on that virtual showing button. I can start a virtual tour and I can go share this with my client. I can actually share it in the link here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick example here, a demo with Marilyn. If Marilyn will help me out, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a virtual showing. I opened it up on my phone and hopefully you can see my screen. And I'm going to just text this to Marilyn, who's my, here we go, my client in this case. And I just sent her a quick text of this virtual showing.
Okay.
So
can you guys see my phone?
yeah.
So I'm just going to click on that and it'll open up, right? In seconds.
Yeah, and it might prompt you to ask, put your name in, you just put initial, that's fine. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to walk Marilyn through the home virtually. And so as I'm moving around on the phone, and you can show Marilyn if you've got it set up. Just let me know when you're all set.
Okay.
It shows me that you're in there now. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you hold your phone up to there, perfect. As I move around, now I'm in control of the situation. I'm showing Marilyn what, some of those key features are that she's been interested in, things that I think she would like. But more importantly, I'm getting direct feedback from her about this property in real time, and there's no delay. So what I see, she'll see. This is just a great way to get that feedback. So now when you go back to your home sellers, or you're going back to the listing agent, or if you are the listing agent, you have that information to relay back to your clients that, yeah, hey, this is some of the feedback I'm getting about the property. And it keeps you in control, gives you a little bit more power in terms of understanding and marketing that property. Same thing when
really cool, Michael, just as a user of it. So as you're walking around with it, it really does make me feel like I'm in the house with you. So not only can I kind of get the flow of the house, because between the floor plan, if I'm kind of one of those people that looks down at things, or if I'm actually walking through it, I kind of feel like I'm there. And then I feel like you can, as the agent, can tell me all the great things you would have told me if we were literally standing right next to each other. Because there's times when, like, this house is in Calgary, by the way. I'm in California. I love it. Can I buy it? But there may be times like that where I'm moving somewhere, I can't get there. Or today, I don't know how many of you are Canadians on the call, but apparently they just locked down again in Canada. So we feel your pain. So I don't know. It feels like a very friendly experience. And the way the cameras is built, like some of the virtual tour things are kind of wonky. You feel like you're going through the room and it's like, wah, it's like, it's got this hyperbole sort of in the way it's designed. This feels like you're actually in the house. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know what, that's great feedback. So, and that's a lot of the feedback that we've been hearing about this. And this has been just a really, a great tool for the agents to really show properties and be able to get that immediate feedback quickly, especially when we're under a little bit of a time crunch. And then also on top of it, some people just don't even want to leave their homes, right? Like it's just it's a little bit of a crazy world that we're living in right now. So this is also a tool, though, if you want to share it and have like a virtual open house on a webinar like this. When I'm moving around the property, you're going to see a little bit of lag, when I jump from spot to spot. And it's a little disruptive in terms of showing a property this way. So I can do the same thing as I can create this virtual showing. I can share that link, and then I could share this link in the chat. I'm not going to do it today because I'm going to keep running through my presentation. There's lots of stuff to go through, but that's just another way that if you're hosting a virtual open house, you post that link in the virtual open house, and then you can walk a number of people through it. I've had up to 50 people in it at one time, so it works fine. I've been told by developers that you can, they're not quite sure, but what happens is you don't get that lag and you're not weighing everything down in terms of when you're sharing the screen. So it's just quick and effective and a nice tool. And it also works with other tools that are out there locally. Broker Bay is one of the companies that works through the MLS system, that they have these open house showing tools as well.
Oh, it does. So it integrates with other things. And this can every MLS integrate this? Because if you said, can this go like where your virtual tour link would go, where they say upload something, you can upload this?
Yeah, absolutely. So if they need to integrate with us or whatever tool they're working on, if there are MLSs on here that want to integrate it, feel free to reach out to us. We've got the APIs. We can help set that up for sure.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah, great. All right, so I'm sharing. So that's one other way of sharing open houses, sharing virtual walkthroughs, even on my phone. If someone's got hands-free and it's easy for them to jive into it, sharing on Zillow, on Realtor.com, and some of the other search portals, really, and having that prime real estate, marketing that properly, which is really, I think, a great key element. So there's some other ways to share as well, and that's into social media. So with the iGuide itself, there's multiple different ways that you can share. And I'm just going to jump from, I'm jumping back and forth on some of my screens here, but some strategies to think about, when you're sharing on social is really build yourself a little bit of a plan to do it. So what are the market conditions like? And why is that important is because how fast and how often should you post? Because you can post multiple things. A lot of the service providers that that use our services are marketing companies, real estate photography companies. They can create a bunch of different assets, and there's a ton of assets in the iGuide here that you can use and to share. So there's photos, 360s, the iGuide itself, the 3D walkthrough, video. You can make video screen captures as well. I can show you quickly on a phone, and these can be posted and reposted again. Now I understand.
We have a question, Michael, from Merlin. He's asking, do I need to hire a photographer, or can I use my Theta Z to capture photos?
Yeah, great question. So the iGuide system, we have a camera system that will incorporate the Theta Z, but you need our system in order to capture the details. So what happens is on our camera system is that the LiDAR laser is measuring the room, and it is at the same time capturing the visuals and aligning those visuals with the measurements. That data is uploaded to our drafting team, who drafts out these properties and following those methods of measurement that I was talking about. And so that's what really creates the 3D tour. And then you get this iGuide delivered back to you the next day. And so you have to use it with our camera system in order to capture that data.
Got it. Okay.
Awesome. Great. So strategies in
Actually, one other question, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
With your photographers, I think you've got a network all over the country, right? Is there a place where people find the photographers that they work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to goiGuide.com/real estate, I think Michael has the link. If he could post that one.
Okay.
That one's a great one. You link there. It will show you some of the features and benefits of it. And then you can find a photographer there. So they're either photographer or marketing companies that offer the services. I think we're not quite in 50 states. We're not in, I don't think we're in the Dakotas yet, but we're almost there. So I think there's provider now in Hawaii and Alaska. And so there's providers right from coast to coast.
So when, for those in the audience, I talked to several top producers when we were writing that white paper that we mentioned earlier. And I don't think there was a person in the group that didn't say, oh my God, my photographer is like my person. But it seemed like a lot of times people were, they were hiring people to do a floor plan, and then they were hiring photographers. And by doing this, you kind of get both of those things all in one place. And then of course you get great photography, which is the most important thing ultimately, right?
Yeah.
It actually saved them time and money when they combined it into one. That's one service provider did everything for them.
Yeah. The process is pretty fast and efficient, and it's depending on the provider. They may do more panos. The thing about the iGuide is they have flexibility to make it more of a walkthrough experience, or just get the floor plans and have the 3D walkthrough as well. But you can have more of a walkthrough experience with more panos or more 360s, I guess is how I'll put it. But it's a fast process for them. So they're already at the home. They're taking your professional photos. Now they can quickly go through with this camera system, and they'll get the 3D tours, the floor plans, the room measurements, area calculations, and then they deliver to you in that iGuide. If they're doing video and drone work too, they can integrate that as well. And I'll show you some examples of, some providers are doing some really neat things with drone in terms of, call outs and having even a drone 360 right in, and maybe I'll just jump to that right now. This is an example I saw the other day where they actually have the drone 360, right over the property.
Oh, wow.
Where they're going. And then they can do outdoor shots as well. So now I walk up to the property, I can see all around the property. I can walk around. I can check out the courtyard, see the pool, or I could jump directly into the home. So I really get a good feel of the property. And this is what I love about this is the outdoor shots, because I'm more an outdoor guy. Like, I live in a small home in Toronto, so I want to be working in my garden. I didn't think I'd ever be a gardener, but I love being out there working in the yard, hence why I was sanding my deck last weekend so it could snow on it today. But I really want to see that yard because I want to understand this is going to be my space, and that's really important to me. So being able to show both indoors, outdoors, top view, really understanding the neighborhood, you really get a great understanding of the property, everything but the smell. You don't know that smell test. So you have to go and make sure that the basement doesn't smell musty. But we have people that are buying homes, and I'm hearing story after story without sight unseen. And I think that's not unique in the market to us. It's just the market. People are, this technology has gotten better to help them through this process.
Got it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, when I talk about a plan for sharing, and I'm just checking on time here, we're running out of time, so I'm going to run through this a little bit, but it's really how often do you want to post, how much you want to get engagement. I understand as an agent or as a professional, you want to build your social media, but you also want to share other things, but then homes and listings all the time. But that is also a part and a great avenue to get more views into your property and shows your potential clients and your clients the work that you're doing for them as well. So there's different ways to share, and I might, just because of time, you can capture 360s. You have a listing coming up. If you've got a beautiful 360 of a living room and a kitchen, when someone's scrolling on Facebook, this grabs their attention, and we see that more people engage with these 360s. So it's a great way to get them, invite them back to your listing. You can share the 360 of it, the actual iGuide. You can share the photos. Here you can actually do a screen capture and share a screen capture of a walkthrough. I show this all the time as a demo, but on my phone as an Apple and on Androids, you also have a little button there that you can click on that will show you how to start a phone. So what you do is you open up your iGuide that you're going to capture. So I have this one open still. I can just flip up. I hit screen capture. I come back down, and it tells me now it's starting to record. And I can actually do a quick screen cap and get some more engagement, walk around this property and really show somebody that, and hit stop, crop the top and bottom, post that to Instagram. So another great way. And that took me all of what, 20 seconds. And I've got another way to post and engage people on Instagram, on Facebook. I also have another example here of just posting. You can just post the photos and stuff. So what I'm going to share, or what we're going to have in the link here, is we've got 2 giveaways today. So how to create an iGuide feature property post for Facebook and for Instagram. So, and these just kind of walk you through some of the basic steps that you want to think about in terms of when you're posting. You want to shorten those links. So you've got this iGuide with a long link. You can go to things like bit.ly.com, post in your link, and it's going to give you, and let me just grab one for an example here. I'll grab this link, control copy, and when I go back to bit.ly, I can shorten that URL. I put it in there, and this is just one of the tools, and it gives me a nice short link. Now, the stuff that I post on Facebook is not necessarily going to be hidden because I'm only allowed up to, a certain amount of characters on my post. So I can really call out, a key headline to get people to check out the link. And, and maybe I don't want them to go directly to the iGuide, and maybe I want them to go back to my website. And that's where I have the iGuide embedded to get them to engage with that property. But if you do, what's nice about when you open up a property, and I'll go back to this one as an example, when I load it, what happens is my branding comes down. I get my, my photo, my phone number, my links to my website, my email. So the buyer or the potential buyer has a way to contact me and make sure that, if they want to learn more about that property, they can directly reach out either through phone, via email, or social media. So just another thing to keep in mind.
We have
So
we have a question, Michael,
yeah,
for you. So you're a whiz at all this stuff and you just went through and all of those things you showed on social media looked great. But it's like, okay, for the rest of us that don't know where all those buttons are on our phones, do
sure.
you have training available to help people? And are there some of the photographers that might help do this part of the job too, or do they just do the photography?
Yeah, yeah. So no, absolutely. So the companies are all independent service providers. So some people do it themselves. Some of them will show you how to do it. Some of them will charge you to do it for you. So
Okay.
it just depends on the provider.
Mhm.
What we're going to share in the links here are just how to do your own post. So this is a step-by-step how to do
Gotcha.
like 3 different posts, and it kind of
Perfect.
walks you through some of the things that I just showed there. How to do the
Good.
Bitly link, what things to call out, how to post it, and how to share it. And I mean, really with the iGuide, it's quite simple. When I go to an iGuide and I click on that share button, the same one that I wanted to do when I created a virtual showing, and let me just, let me get out of this so I can make it full screen. I click on the share button, the 3 dots here, and not quite a complete iGuide. I can go in, I can hit my Facebook, and I can make the post right from here. And the steps to do it, grab that Bitly link, is all in those 2 handouts or the giveaways. It's a link to a landing page where you just put your email in, and we'll email you the instructions for both Instagram and Facebook. And then we'll have an updated one to add in down the road with the, showing how to do a screen capture as a video.
So, Michael, just to kind of go back to this, so all of this stuff looks gorgeous. It's kind of logical that this is going to help you engage with consumers more, especially when like in the US, it's like real time. I need to look at a house. Many offers are being submitted. They're not even seeing the houses yet because it's so crazy. They want to, they want to get in because if it's in their range, it's in their neighborhood. And this gives you a really good feel for what the house looks like before you even walk through it. What kind of results are people seeing? Are they getting more, more new buyers agents out or buyers clients out of this, or what's happening with all this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things there. So just results driven with the iGuide. We have a study, a blog on our webpage, and I don't have the link for this, but I think I might have a slide in here. But we've seen even even prior to the market that we're in today, we were seeing better results in terms of homes. One, people staying on a listing much longer than just if it's just property photos. So you get more engagement with that property. And when people are interested in a property, then they can really dive into it and really understand that. The big one that I really like is it helps sell the home faster. Now
Yeah.
we're selling home
Yeah.
fast in the fast market, but we were seeing this before this crazy market times, is that it was faster than photos by 39% less days on market and 14% less days on market than other 3D tours and videos alone. So
Okay.
we definitely saw the efficacy there. But now with the market, what's going on is that I'm hearing back, just, and some of this is anecdotal, is that people are seeing the value that their agents are bringing to the table, but it's helping them through this home buying process. When you have 6, 7 cars out front, all looking at a home, and they're all putting a bids on it, and because the Toronto market is insane, even outside the Toronto market, because people are moving outside of Toronto into the Kitchener-Waterloo market, where I am today. What's happening is you've got multiple bids and multiple offers on these properties, and people are trying to discern, okay, is this really right for us? Let's take another look at it. Now they have this ability to go back in and really walk through it and say, yeah, we really want this property. Maybe we should go in a little bit higher, or whatever that you advise with your clients and stuff. But they're
Well,
having these conversations and more informed decisions about those properties.
what I love about the chart you've got there, the sell your home for more, I think sometimes there's a perception that, oh, I've got a quote lower end house or lower priced house. So the 150 to 400. In some markets, that's a high end house, but in many markets today, that's becoming a lower end house.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is great about that is I think the perception is that this stuff is used only for luxury properties. And while it certainly is used for luxury properties, what this is telling us is it should be used on every property.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about this yesterday. I don't quote me on this, but I think I'm in the right ballpark. This is for everyone on the call. 15% maybe of listings today have any sort of virtual tour, never mind something as robust and three-dimensional as this plus the floor plan. So if you're looking for one simple way where you don't have to do all the work, you don't have to be an expert photographer, to me, this is absolutely one of the best things to do, because there's study after study after study with consumers, and not just in real estate, but in general. All of us, like we're the YouTube generation, right? You push a button, we want to watch something. We don't want to read it. We don't want to look at all these stuff. Just let me take a look at it. So to me, that's what's really exciting, is this isn't just for, the big boys anymore. This is for every property out there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I kick myself for saying that word over and over again, but yeah, we see it with a lot of the top agents. In a lot of these markets that we're in, we have top agents that are using it, and they don't pick and choose their marketing. They say, I do this on every listing, this and a photo, because I know that it's part about me building my brand, showing my clients the value I bring. And also they know that it works, and they don't care if it's a $75,000 home or $175,000 or $1 million home. They're doing it on because it's about them and their brand. So, we are seeing across Canada, double-digit market share for us in terms of iGuide. So the number of homes sold have an iGuide on that property, and so yeah, 15% is easy. I think there's other big players in the market, and so we're definitely seeing the adoption of this technology grow. It was an underlying trend before, and I think with what has happened in the last year, that has moved that underlying trend to the forefront. Now, I think there was a peak last year where there was more people doing this enhanced marketing on properties. It dropped down a bit in the US is what we saw, but this year, the way homes are selling, it's a competitive market. And so if you can show your sellers, I'm using this I'm using this in my listing presentations to win clients, is what I'm being told as well. So that's
I'm also seeing stuff. We do a lot of market research with the company Wave Group. And one of the things that we saw with the study we did with consumers in Houston was that while the virtual showings, all this stuff sort of had to happen during COVID, right? We all got forced into it at some level, even though we all know we should have been doing it, we didn't. But what was interesting was when we asked consumers about the convenience of this stuff, right? So think about, you've got a brand new person moving to Houston, doesn't know the market. What do? You end up driving them around. And now you can't even drive them around in your car. You're in another car. They're following you, and you're going to 30 different properties to try to figure out what the heck they want, right? This stuff gets you very far down the road. Consumers are telling us, I'll look at those 30 properties online, and then I'm going to ask my agent to only show me 3. So the consumer loves that. It's saving them time. And just think about the time it saves an agent, and not having to waste time driving around for hours and hours and hours, trying to sort of say, is that what you're looking for? No. Is that what you're looking for? All that process happens through these now. Saves you time, money, energy. So you can, maybe do 3 tours with 3 different clients in one day, as opposed to having to spend the whole afternoon with one. So there's real money savings here, not to mention better marketing.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you're seeing it across the board. I mean, in the past, how many times, and we talked about this yesterday, like you would have to go have a business meeting or go see a client, and less in real estate, but in different markets. For me, it'd be lots of travel on the road. Now I just have a Zoom call. We do the presentation, we have a conversation, and and now it's done. And now I can do that 3-4 times in a day, as opposed to a flight all day getting to the place.
Exactly.
Although I do miss some of that, But
yeah, me too. So Gita has a question, and I don't know if this is consistent, but I'll ask it anyway. She said, what's the price? Can you buy on a per listing basis for those of us who are not big time listing agents? How does that work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you go to the operator map, or the link that we've shared with you on there under real estate, and you'll say find a photographer, and they charge per listing. So they'll do your photos and what other things that assets that you want. Some of them will help you market the properties even more with social media. So there's a wide breadth of different types of companies that are out there. On average, I'll say for an average size home, it's around say $299 for, let's say, a 2,500 square foot home. And that usually includes photos, not video and drone and all that other stuff. But those things are probably additional add-ons. One of the, but you will get everything that I've showed you today in terms of the iGuide report, the photos for that. But you have to reach out, and it's different by market by market. Maryland, in your market, it's a little bit higher in terms of marketing dollars. In Idaho, or sorry, in Ohio, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of than Manhattan. So, but you'll get everything back, and really, I don't want to run over time, but one other thing that you get, which is nice, and is really the third part of what I talked about, stage, share, and show, is showing results to your clients. We give you back analytics. And so these analytics come in a report in your email every Monday, how many people came into the home, how they got to that home. And this is great information for you to go back and show your home sellers that, hey, this is, I know the home sold fast, feel good about it. We had this many people look at the property. We had this many people come back and look at the property. And this is how I marketed your property and how they found the listing online. And this is a great way to tuck in your customers, to show the value you bring to the table. I come from a dad who's a broker for 50 years, and my mom was an agent when I was a kid. They worked weekends and evenings. They worked all the time. They were very hard workers. They're very successful. And I think a lot of people don't give real estate professionals enough credit in terms of how hard they work and how on call they are all the time. And so how do you demonstrate and show that value to your clients? Well, one great way is the stuff that's tangible like this, where you can say, hey, this is what I did for you. And then that's just another great way to ensure that they're your next referral, and you've done a great job for them. You can also take these analytics, use it in your listing presentations as well. This is what I did on my last listing. This is how I'm going to help sell and market your home.
That's great.
Well, I don't know how we're doing on time. I guess
we've got a couple minutes left. So if you want to maybe show us where people have more information about where to go, who should they call? So this is the right information.
Yeah. So the goiguide.com residential real estate is probably the best page. If you don't want to remember all that, just go to goiguide.com. There's a big orange button at the top to find a photographer. You can learn more about it there. And then we've got great resources too. If you do on some of the things that I've laid out here, we've got some email campaigns that if you do have a provider, you order an iGuide through the provider, they can add you to that email list, and you'll get these tips and tricks that I shared with today, stage, share, and show. So, and walk you through some of the basics in terms of getting more viewers on your listings.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Any final words for us, Michael? We got 1 minute. Final takeaways about any inspiration for what we should be doing to stay alive during this crazy market.
Well, I don't know. I think it's just take care of yourself. I think I find, and when I talk to a lot of people, they seem to be working more, even though less time traveling and all that, just spending more time working. So, make sure that you take breaks. And especially, I've been living in my basement for the last year. So, take those breaks and make sure you do the checks and spend a little time with the family. I think, taking care of yourself helps you to be a better performer at the end of the day in terms of delivering to your clients.
Remember that wine is not a replacement for water or beer. Some of us have made that one of our 4 food groups. That is not a good idea.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Great information. Again, go to goiguide.com if you want more information. And thanks to all of you for attending. And we'll be back to you in another week or so with another great webinar from RE Technology. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.